Now I just want to have a little chat about temperature in a reef aquarium. It's really important that a reef aquarium stays at a stable temperature of about 25 degrees. And if it gets too cool, it's very simple, because basically every aquarium is just fitted with an aquarium heater, such as those ones there. The glass heaters are very simple, very effective and very cheap. So therefore, temperature is not a problem as far as the temperature being too cold. But the temperature can be a major problem as far as the temperature being too warm. Because if the temperature gets too hot, like up to 30 degrees, your corals can start to die, and your fish will start to struggle around 30 degrees, and even freshwater fish will start struggling at around sort of 32 degrees. But when the temperature goes up, the most important thing to remember is that the oxygen level is going down. So if you can increase oxygen when the temperature increases, that usually saves your fish. It's very important that the surface of your aquarium is very well agitated, and even consider adding an air stone or something to bubble off the heat on a really hot day, particularly in a freshwater aquarium. So oxygen is everything when the temperature's too warm. In a perfect world, you put on a chiller, and this is a chiller. The chillers vent their hot air at the front. So this particular model here, there's an indent down the bottom so the hot air can escape somewhat, but it's really better if the chiller is next to the aquarium. They do look pretty cool with their little LED screen and so forth, so they don't look out of place next to the aquarium, and they're really a lot more effective if they're not in the cupboard, because though this is not a sealed cupboard, the air is going to have trouble getting out of there, and especially when your chiller is venting hot air in the same capacity as your sump, so therefore you're chilling on one hand and heating on the other, so it's not energy efficient. Having the chiller outside is really a lot better. Now if you don't have a chiller, particularly if you don't have a coral reef tank with as much values worth like this, there are other things you can do. One thing you can do is get a fan and blow the fan across the surface of the aquarium. So whether that means removing your lids, removing your lights, to get a nice surface area to basically blow a fan across, that will help to cool your aquarium. And in a situation like this, you can get a fan and blow a fan across the sump, so you can see the surface tension really moving where the pressure from the fan is cooling the water. You can also create little shower head sprays, and that does chill the water quite effectively just by getting basically a little fountain spray, turning it upside down, and then you can even blow a fan over that. That's quite effective as well. Particularly with small aquariums, one of the other things that people do is get a 2-litre Coke bottle, and they'll just freeze water, and then they will get the frozen Coke bottle and put it in their aquarium. That's a temporary fix. And you will find with most of these animals, when the temperature stays up for a period of time is really when they crack it. So even if it's not unusual in the wild for the temperature to get quite hot for like the middle of the day, but then as the tides change and so forth, that temperature will actually come down again, even in the rock pools where the water comes back in. So once again, oxygen is the key when the temperature gets too high. If you do have a fair bit of money's worth, you're really wanting a chiller. Failing a chiller, blowing a fan across the surface of the water, and then as a last minute desperation, you can do things like large water changes, or adding a frozen bottle, sealed bottle to the aquarium just to temporarily bring that water down. And smaller aquariums, the fans are really more of an option. With these large aquariums, fans are just not as much a practical option. So a chiller can really be the best thing that you've ever purchased. It really is an insurance policy, particularly if you have a lot of money's worth of corals and fish in your aquarium. So aiming for a steady temperature of 25 degrees is really what I encourage.